Hello, hello. Hola a todos. Bienvenidos once again to Lima, Peru, and to your history sessions with your tour guide, Vanessa. Today we will continue with a series that I started, 3 days ago. This is the fourth part dedicated to the Department of Ica. Ica department is one of the most developed touristic destinations for Peruvians, basically, but internationally is not really that much known if you compare it to, for example, Cusco or even Lima. No? Lima, a little bit. We are forced to be touristically important because we are home of the international airport. So that give us that extra, no, that improves our tourism in Lima. Not that we don't have the attractions. If you want to also know more about Lima and where to go and what to do in the city, I have also already covered Lima in a series that now is available on Patreon. So for a little donation, you can get full access into my recordings about Lima. But I think Ica, and that's what I'm doing this series, Ica has like as equal opportunities as, let's say, my city, Lima, to receive travelers from all over the world and also make you feel super comfortable and also show you, well, a reality that I'm sure you didn't know all that existed in the country. Welcome to my friends who are joining this live stream. I live stream every day, when I have also the time. Sometimes I am a little bit busy, but this week we've been able to meet from Monday till Friday today. And I always let you know, like, if I'm going to be streaming, like when and also at what time. So, well, my friends, I hope that you are hearing me. If you can also help me, letting me know if you can hear me, you can see me. All right. And I'll continue now with the sharing of images. Just give me a second. I will select image, and I have to also do little adaptation over here. So, okay, I think here we are. Do you see the images? It would be wonderful to know if you are able to see something. Sometimes, sometimes my presentations go not so smooth in the beginning, at least. So you are supposed to be able to see a picture display. Actually, several pictures that I will be sharing with you. Today, we are moving to the next destination in Ica. In the last meeting we had yesterday, we visited Chincha, and the highlights of Chincha, my personal recommendations on where you should go or what you should see. According to my experience also in international travelers, with international travelers, and knowing what can be interesting for you. Now we will continue with Pisco. And Pisco, founded also in the year 1534, is in fact the zone, the section of Ica that is the oldest, the Ica department, no, that is the oldest in terms of a Spanish contact and foundation. For those that haven't been able to join my previous events, so why I am referring to Ica and also to Pisco at the same time? Well, just a little summary, and I think also I can go back just in case to the image also that shows you better this. So the Department of Ica, so if you're tuning in from the United States, you might be more familiar with, for example, your country being divided by states, right? So Peru is divided by departments. We have 24 departments. So one of those departments is the Department of Ica, which is south coast, in the south coast of Peru. So right on top is the Department of Lima. Okay, so where my city is, I am from Lima. I'm from the capital of Peru. So well, now you can see when we zoom in that circle over there, there you have the Department of Ica and the 5 provinces inside Ica. Okay, so yesterday we saw Chincha and its highlights. Today we continue with Pisco. So now I'll go down and look at all of the images we were able also to see also in these other 3 parts that are well now available on Patreon. Well, Pisco is also relevant to the history of the Spanish foundations that started with this city, with this village, and continued with the rest of the territory that was started to be known by the Spaniards. Pisco is important because also Pisco nowadays is internationally associated with the production of a spirit of a brandy that also is homonymous, has the same name, Pisco. Okay, but originally, well, the arrival of the Spaniards and also Nicolás de Rivera the Old, which was the man who founded, well, this city on behalf of the king, and also with the power given by Francisco Pizarro, the Marquis Pizarro, who was his boss, let's say, in that time. While Pizarro was campaigning in other territories, we still were fighting the Incas, the indigenous rulers of this land, the original rulers of this land. When the Spaniards came, well, they were in this process of controlling and also eradicating, let's say, the Incan rebels who standed against the Spaniards. No, so they needed to act fast, no, and they needed especially to take over as much as they could. And the Spaniards had their allies, no, they had alliances with some indigenous groups. So that's how, well, the Spaniards, in this case, the group led by Nicolás de Rivera the Old, later on mayor of Lima, first mayor of Lima, came to this direction and they found the valley of Pisco. So Pisco's valley was not wide enough for them to consider later on like moving the capital towards this valley, because the first capital of Peru was in the Andes, in Jauja, started or established in the same year, 1534. It worked for a time, that capital in the Andes, but later on the Spaniards decided to move it down to the coast. So why they didn't move it here if they already established this city before finding Lima, much norther, in January of 1535? Well, the reason is, well, mainly the fact that the valley, even though was fertile, it was very, very narrow in comparison to what they were expecting to find in the coast to establish in a capital. Okay, so the monument you see over there is a monument dedicated to Liberator José de San Martín, the Argentinian liberator of Peru, the man who established, well, the independence, declared the independence of Peru from Spain in the year 1821, July 28th, 1821. And his relation with Pisco, with Paracas, well, let's say one of the districts of Pisco province, is very important. I have to highlight it because San Martin, Jose San Martin, came to Peru by ship. Okay, not crossing the Andes with horses, as he did when he went to Chile. He went on a horseback, with his military men. Many Argentinians followed him, and well, he went to Chile, and he is also one of the fathers of the independence of Chile. But from Chile, he came to Peru by ship, and he touched ground, or he landed, sorry, I don't know how to say it more properly, in Paracas, no, in the Bay of Paracas. He docked there, and he started his campaign of liberation in that location. The bay also in Paracas is known as the Bay of the Independence, Bahía de la Independencia. Okay. So, well, you can see, well, here from this image, the main square of Pisco. The name Pisco comes from Quechua, from the Quechua word for a bird. Bird. And in Pisco, there are lots of birds, especially seabirds. Later, you'll see some of them. We'll talk about them. So, originally, the name of this town was Villa de San Gallan, but well, the indigenous name prevailed. So a little bit farther away in this picture, and now I'm going to sort of like zoom in that side. Well, there you can see the main church of Pisco. It is known as San Clemente Church, which is, by the way, the building that evidently on the right hand side looks like a church with a more like a clearer color building. And you can see also right next in the next picture a much more modern church. Okay, so this church was destroyed by an earthquake. In the year 2007, we had probably one of the most destructive earthquakes in the history of Peru, on the known history of Peru. Okay, well, we don't know how strong were the earthquakes our Incas and pre-Incas had to live. There are no evidences in documents of those ancient earthquakes, but from the architecture, we can tell there were several really terrible ones. But in the case of, well, the time of our history that was recopilated by the chroniclers, conquistadors, and later on the chroniclers of, well, colonial times, we know that we had several really bad earthquakes. And measurable also the destruction by the intensity of the earthquakes, the damage caused, the duration, the tsunamis, etc. But the one of 2007 was basically the first earthquake of the 21st century, also that was of considerable strength. And also, well, you are seeing a person that saw the earthquake and lived the earthquake. And I can tell you, it was horrible. It was like a nightmare. This earthquake had as an epicenter this town. So the earthquake happened, basically, the epicenter was here in Pisco. And this was the city that was the most affected. So just to give you an idea of the damage, well, the Church of San Clemente, this is the way how it ended up after the earthquake. An earthquake that had a duration of 1 full minute. So it was really strong, really strong. We have knowledge of earthquakes that have lasted up to 3 minutes also in our history. But the intensity, like this was an earthquake that was, according to the specialists, 8 Richter scale in this location. In Lima, because we are much far away from the epicenter, the intensity was 7.1 Richter scale. Still, it was so strong. And I remember seeing the buildings because I was in a financial center. It was 6 p.m. Rush hour, rush hour in Lima, and I was in a financial district at a medical appointment. And I was in a fifth floor. I was with my grandmother and a friend of mine, and we saw during the earthquake, because the office was very big and it had a big glass like wall. We saw the windows in the financial center of San Isidro moving like palm trees. It was so scary, so scary. So well, people here in this town that don't have really tall buildings, high buildings, still the architecture there is old, mainly made on mud bricks, roofs made from wood, bamboo. Also, and you know something, like it was 6 p.m. and at that time there's a mass always at churches. Maybe you know that if you're a Catholic or you have Catholic friends, you know that. So, well, it was August 15. Everybody inside the church, 6 p.m., 2007. Well, the roof collapsed over all the people who were celebrating Mass. And lots of people died in there, no? Like people call them the angels, no, of the earthquake, because there were several angels, several good people who died, but in particular the ones who were inside the church. And also, contrary to that, well, there was a prison. Well, this is not the actual picture of the prison, but this is how the houses ended up after the earthquake. This is like a regular like street in Pisco, but there was there's a prison here, and the prison wall also collapsed, allowing lots of people to escape from the prison, and not one single prisoner was hit by the wall. Okay, so well, uh, contradictions of life happen during that moment. I just want to make sure, we'll make a little stop here to make sure that, well, everything seems that is okay. There is no problem with the internet. Crossing my fingers also we continue with no problems with the internet. Okay, so let's go back to the image. Very good. So, well, we have here, well, some photographies of the damage. The day after the damage was the most like saddest day, because the collapsing walls trapped so many people inside their homes. These were very thick walls made from mud brick walls that had hundreds of years in some cases. And there is a very, very, very tragic story, one of the many tragic stories of that day, that happened on that day. And I would like to tell you also the story of a little child, a 9-year-old child, who passed away due to, well, the collapsing of one of the walls of his neighborhood there in Pisco. The name of this child was what, Chicho. That's the way how everybody knew him, Chicho. And Chicho was a very good child so far. His mom remembers him, his family and neighbors. He was just a very healthy, regular child. Like nothing would say like he would be different from the rest of his friends, but only that he was very, very supportive with his mama, and he like helped in the house, not giving really big troubles to the family. So, well, a good child. So, well, it was the day of the earthquake. Minutes before the earthquake started, Chicho asked permission to his mom and also money to go to the internet cafe. No, because back then it was way more common that children will go to the internet to play like video games and all of that. So, well, Mama refused initially, like, like giving this money away. She had like something in her heart. She didn't want it to. But he insisted, and he said, Mama, I have helped you this day. Like, I've done everything, all my chores. So please, like, allow me to go. So, well, she finally did that. And, well, what happens is, well, the Chicho went to this internet cafe, and, well, the story later is sort of like a pick up from like neighbors and what happened, no? So the earthquake started, and, well, the mother of Chicho was desperate because she was in her house. So what happens is that, according to the reconstruction, Chicho left the internet cafe, which was just around the corner of his house. And at the moment he was like half block away from his home, an entire wall collapsed over him. And we're talking about a child of 9 years old. No, so he couldn't resist the wall over him. So the mom was not able to see the wall collapsing over her child, and she just started wandering around. She went to the internet cafe. In the internet cafe, like the owner said that he left, he ran to his house. So, well, finally, like, she thought that the only possibility was like under that wall that collapsed, no? and they went there and they found Chicho under the wall. He passed away already. Okay, so according to her mom, even though he had a whole wall collapse over him, he didn't have any bruises, any blood. Like he was just like sleeping. Okay, so Mama put a cross in the place of his passing. Oh, more to give her comfort also. No? And few days after, she started to see people putting flowers on the cross. And then a lady, a neighbor of the community, came to her and told her that she wanted to thank the mother of Chicho because he helped her in a very special thing. He gave her a miracle. Okay, he made a miracle come true, and that was the beginning for what you see now. So so many people started to come thanking the mother of Chicho for the miracles conceived, for well, all the things that he was making for them. And the pictures of Chicho started to become like like worshipped. But he, because these people are Catholic, they see him as a mediator with God. So you can also see the chapel of Chicho, which is right next to the house of Chicho's mom. And in the picture you see on the center down, that's Chicho, 9 years old. On the left hand side, like many years ago, when so many people started to come in pilgrimages, thanking Chicho for the miracles, well, one person, one artist decided to make a statue, human size, real size statue of Chicho. Okay. Hola, hola, Ned. Hola. Hola, amiga. Un poquito, a little bit earlier, 11 a.m., because I saw also my event was clashing with some other events happening at 12 on our Facebook groups. By the way, if you are, let's say, interested in let's say joining, tuning in, like events like this one around the world, even live walking tours, at the end of this event, I'll share with you some links on Facebook that you can join and also meet other tour guides, other colleagues that stream live every day. Okay. So yes, Annette, but no worries. You can still enjoy a lot. I'm telling you about Chicho, this miraculous child that concedes also lots of gifts to his community, who tragically died during the earthquake of Pisco in 2007. So also what I find interesting is that, well, that statue you see on the left hand side that was given by a fellow like artist from this location, he wanted to give a little donation, something he could make because he didn't have really much money. And eventually he became very prosperous, by the way. So he made a real size statue of Chicho at age 9. And well, you can see in the first picture that there are lots of images, like pictures on the walls. Those are devoted people to Chicho who have, well, in this way, also thanked the miracles and living like a testimony of the miracles with pictures on the walls. And several years after, this is more nowadays. On the right hand side, you can see Chicho's statue, but that's not the same statue. So the same artist donated a taller one because Chicho at this point should be now, well, in his 20s. And he decided to make a statue as if Chicho is still growing. Okay, and he's part of the community and loved, and this is the way how also the community supported his mom, who was in complete despair after the passing of her son, and family as well. No, and look at all of the pictures of people who are thanked to for the intersection, intermediation. I don't know how you say it in English, but mediation of Chicho with God. No, so now let's continue. And there's another place I would like to take you now. and that is the National Reserve of Paracas. Paracas, Paracas. So to understand also the importance of this reserve, and look how big it is. No? So in hectares is 335,000 hectares, and 65% of the totality of the protected section, no, that belongs to the reserve, the natural reserve of Paracas, is ocean, is in the ocean, in the water. So the natural reserve of Paracas, first of all, the name Paracas is related with an ancient society, a culture that existed in this part of the country, named Paracas. This culture emerged around, well, 3,000 years ago, more or less. Uh, and the decadence, the downfall of this society happened more or less in the beginnings of Christian era. So we know of this society thanks to its tombs that were discovered near to this location that you see in the picture, in the Bay of Paracas. So that is a desert, and it rains nothing almost in this location. So those climatic conditions allowed also the tombs of the Paracas to resist with its load, with their load inside, no, untouched, resist until these days. Okay, so that's why this location is named Paracas, because this is the location also where ancestrally also the society lived. But also Paracas is an ancient name related with the site, no, so everything is connected, no. So well, one of the most important archaeologists of our history, Julio Cesar Tello, arrived to this location, discovered these mummies. He didn't know about the name of this culture, so he named it after, well, the location. No? What is the name of this location? Paracas. Okay, so this culture is going to be named Paracas. Paracas means sandstorm. Okay, sandstorm. Tormenta de arena, sandstorm. Well, so what you can see in the reserve of Paracas? Well, you have a circuit that goes inland, and also you have a circuit that goes by sea. Mhm. Evidently, from this picture, you can tell also what you can see by sea. Well, there are lots of species of mammals and especially birds that can be seen in this location. Sea lions, in particular, are, I think, the most popular mammals we can see here, but you can even see dolphins, for example, every once in a while, if you are lucky enough. Okay, so why was necessary to preserve both the land, which is a desert, and also the sea? Preserve it and make it like let's say a sanctuary, for these creatures who live in this part. Fishing is a very important activity in Peru. We have big fishing and we have artisanal fishing, like minor scale fishing. Okay, so in the case of the like big fishing, right? Big fishing happens much farther away from here, from the coast. Oh, but the big fishing also depredates a lot because it takes the small fishes, for example, the sardines, or the anchovies that are the base food for the creatures here, catching it, all of it, and taking it away, and turn it into tuna, canned fish, and all of that, no. So but we have the local fishing, the artisanal fishing, which also impacts in this location because the artisanal fishermen can, because they have small boats, can get into zones where sea lions, for example, live. Oh, and well, the sea lions and the fishermen compete for food. Okay, sometimes we had cases of sea lions biting the nets of the fishermen because they want to get the fish that is there, trapped in there, no. So there were cases of fishermen, like beating the sea lions and like killings of sea lions. The government started to notice a decrease in the population of these animals and a necessity on preserving a space for them and also for the birds of that location. So that's why we have the creation of this park in the 70s. But let's start with, well, the circuit that goes by land. By the way, I will really, really appreciate if you can tell me if you can still hear me or see me, and if there's any problem, like you don't see an image, that is wrong. I should be sharing images. So just let me know, okay? So I hope that you can help me with that, and I hope you are seeing also pictures, because I don't know why sometimes they disconnect automatically. Gracias, Annette. Gracias, amiguita. Well, we can see here the Museum Julio Cesar Tello. Museum Julio Cesar Tello, named after our archaeologist, father of Peruvian archaeology, is inside the circuit in the reserve. No? To reach the reserve, first you have to go to Pisco, no? Get into the town of Paracas. Oh, that is a town, by the way, homonymous to the culture. And the town of Paracas, which is by the sea, offers tours. There are lots of companies and tour guides that offer tours to both parts of the reserve. On boat, to see the creatures in the sea, and also by car, by land, to see, well, the reserve and its landmarks. Okay, so you cannot do that walking because it's a really big space. You need to hire a taxi, a company that has transportation. So many kilometers away from that town, um, you have this museum and the rest of the zones I'll explain to you. Okay, so first of all, you go to the Interpretation Center, this museum, which, well, this building you see is from the year 2016. Originally, the building, the previous museum that existed, that I also saw that museum, was very different, was destroyed by the earthquake of 2007. So this one was a reconstruction built, well, because the original one of the 60s was destroyed by that earthquake. Well, inside this museum, there are lots of archaeological evidences, like locally discovered from the culture Paracas and also from the Nazcas and other archaeological evidences there. There is some evidences of paleontological also pieces from the site. Later in the future, I'll tell you a bit more about the paleontology. There's another location in Ica, Ocucaje, that is more famous for that, but that's coming in the future. Okay, so this is a very good interpretation center before you go into the circuit uh, on the ground in land. Okay, and then with your tour company and your transportation, you can see some of the highlights of this reserve. Okay, the reserve has, of course, several beautiful beaches. One of them, for example, is Playa Roja. Playa Roja. Rojo means red. Red beach. Okay, evidently for the color of the sand. The sand is actually like a micro pink diorite. Oh, I put the name also there. That's the composition of that stone, pink diorite. And well, this beach and most of the beaches in the reserve cannot be utilized by people. Well, so we cannot swim there at that beach. Well, the reason is because it's dangerous. So there are zones that are they have very strong waves. So for safety, basically for visitor safety, many of the beaches here are not allowed or to swim in. But also, one of the reasons too is because many of these beaches are still used by sea lions, for example. So even though they don't like to be too close to people, they will still use them sometimes. So it's not rare the case when you see one or two in one of those beaches. But there are also some other beaches that are like open to visitors. So well, this one here, Playa Roja, for its beauty and the contrast of the reds, of the red of the sand and the blue ocean, is fabulous. It for moments looks like a rainbow, no, because you have like a more a yellowish section, like where you see the people standing, then the red, then sort of like looks melts the red with the blue, and that's like a lilac, a blue, and a green. Also, it's a perfect place for pictures. um Another one also of these locations in the reserve and natural formations also is the famously known internationally as the cathedral. Okay. The picture on the left hand side is how this formation looks like nowadays, and the picture on the right hand side is how it originally looked. Well, at least like since well it was discovered as a touristic destination within the reserve of Paracas. I remember also coming with travelers this close to the viewpoint. There's a viewpoint also. Also, these photographs were done from the same viewpoint, and I remember like coming with travelers like to see the cathedral, and that's really like the second picture, the one on the right hand side. Like it makes sense, the name, right? Because it's like an entrance is the cathedral in the sea, no? There is like a bell tower on top, and then you see also the sort of like an entrance into the ocean, right? And well, sadly, I have to say that there's no chance to see it like that anymore. Again, the earthquake of 2007 destroyed also this formation. It was really, really like a stab in the heart of tour operators and the people of the park. Well, tourists also that wanted to see the beautiful cathedral, well, gone forever. Okay, so this is how bad an earthquake can be. An earthquake of a Richter scale can be. Mhm. So, and next we continue over here. Well, you can see also now, well, the other pathway, no, the other route that you should take if you come to the reserve of Paracas, the natural reserve of Paracas. By the way, to get into the reserve, you have to pay a fee, which is 11 soles. That's equivalent to a bit more than, let's say, like $3, more or less, $3. That's the permission to get into the reserve. So you can either, once you pay that, you can take your boat tour and get into the reserve from sea, or you can go, if you wish, first to see the beaches and the formations, if you love that also, and or do both. That's okay, no. And if you're going to take a boat, there is also a fee to use the port of 5 soles per person. That is about $2, less than $2. So very affordable. And then additionally, you have to hire a guide and a boat. There are lots of group tours that take place there, so you don't need to hire a full boat for you. No, you can join one tour also with several other people to see, well, the attractions in the sea. And well, the tour of the reserve that belongs to the sea is named Ballestas Islands Tour. Later, I'll show you about, well, these islands. But once you are in the boat, what you see, the first attraction you see, is this formation, this geoglyph. okay, which is huge, is huge. It is 180 meters tall, or high, and 60 meters wide, and the depth varies from 1 centimeter to 3 centimeters. So the depth is not really like that profound, uh, but it is put on a, well, on a slope, that is not facing directly winds. It's protected. It's naturally protected. So that preserves this geoglyph naturally. We don't know exactly who made this geoglyph. If you know about the Nazca culture, probably you'll think that the Nazcas made that one because of the similarity. Well, there are some differences, but the specialists in archaeology believe that this geoglyph was even older. It's not really possible to prove that per se, like, but they believe that this one could even be a geoglyph made at the time of the Paracas culture, which is older than the Nazcas. But Paracas and Nazcas, they were connected. Nazcas were sort of like descendants of the Paracas, so they are between them lots of similarities. And well, possibly like what you see there is a representation of a cactus, some type of cactus. If it's a cactus, it could be San Pedro cactus, which is an hallucinogenical plant utilized in, well, natural medicine by shamans and specialists in this magical world. So this is one theory. Another theory says that this is a chandelier. Okay, we didn't use chandeliers in the pre-Hispanic times. And that's why it's Spanish name, candelabro, chandelier. So this other theory is more like, let's say, inclined to believe that this was a mark done by pirates. So European pirates, who came to this part of the world in search of gold, silver, fortunes. And we had actually many pirates. Many times they attacked the ports in the coast of Peru. How they came? Well, their travesties were very long because I think most people hear about the Pirates of the Caribbean, like especially with the movie with Johnny Depp, no, the Pirates of the Caribbean, and they were, of course, many more in amounts, in numbers, many more pirates going to the Caribbean cities along, well, that part of like the Americas, than coming to Peru, because the trip from Europe also to that location was shorter, and also the let's say the sailing conditions were easier and better than coming down South America, intending to crossing the extreme south part of South America, Cape Horns, or Drake's Passage, I think it's called, by Cape Horns. And then after that, coming northwise in direction to the coast of Peru. So the trip was way bigger and way more dangerous. It was so dangerous doing that, for example, well, many companies in the colonial times which imported slaves from Africa, they consider that pathway so risky, and they didn't want to put their investments, the money, in the slaves, in risk. So they prefer them to go to Panama, the slaves, making them cross on foot the Isthmus of Panama, reloaded them, putting them on a ship, and after that coming to Peru, for example. But to do that, like, all of that pathway was regulated, and pirates had to skip that. Pirates were persecuted, sometimes not because they were thieves, because of their faith. The Inquisition killed also pirates in Peru, not because they were pirates, because they were Protestants. Also, there was a persecution of Protestants mainly. So, well, we had pirates coming, and probably this mark over there was made by pirates, signifying also like if it was a lighthouse for them to see that they were like approaching to a location where they could stay, or they could even sack the money from there, no? So well, that is another explanation. Some people call it the trident also. And even, well, there are theories that are related with the creatures of outer space, and so there are lots of different theories about this one. Also, one more modern theory says that it was made during the time of the arrival of Liberator San Martin. Okay, so well, after seeing the chandelier, and remember we are still are on a boat, we are able to reach the Ballestas Islands. So Ballestas Islands are really three big islands in the ocean, which are quite distant from the coast. And well, these islands are home from of several varieties of birds. Like we have different boobies, for example, varieties of cormorants, pelicans. Also, the Peruvian pelican is there. Seagulls, also several different types of seagulls. Some of them are migratory seagulls, like the Franklin one, for example, the Franklin seagull that comes when it's winter in the north, comes also here to Peru. Soon we're going to start seeing migration of the Franklin seagulls from North America. We have also seagulls from the Andes that come to the coast. So, well, this is a point, a space that has lots of different birds, and you can see those birds all together, and not always the same birds. Okay, so the name ballestas means in English crossbow, and that's because of the arches that have well, these islands, and you can get really close to many of these arches. And the importance of these like spaces like arches, what happens under is not that you can sail across, because the arches also have like beaches below. Okay, but we can get close to those because, well, there is where the sea lions live. And you can see like huge communities of sea lions. And well, sea lions have like a dimorphism between male and female. Males are huge, especially the leaders, no, the alphas. They are huge, that two up to three times the size of a female. And well, these males have lots of wives, no, so they are always accompanied with so many wives around. And the babies also, they have a side especially for the babies. The babies are not exactly right next to the alpha because they are too like massive big, and they can step over them and they can kill them also. So there are sections that are called like the nursery, for example. So only babies are there, very cute. And there's a season for that because the babies are not getting born every month. There's a season. Summer is the best season to see the babies. And well, they are really interesting creatures, and they are all living together, no? So, or in a closed space. So well, and you see also guano there. Guano is the poop, the manure of seabirds that in the 19th century put Peru in the eyes of the world, because, well, we were the number one exporters. Namibia also had guano back in that time, but Peru exported lots of guano to Europe. And guano was used as a fertilizer. So the islands of the coast of Peru, which most of them look like the ones you see in the picture, they had a huge accumulation of guano. By the way, we know that the Incas and pre-Incas used guano as a fertilizer. Okay, and well, now I would like to tell you a bit more about archaeology. And here we can see, well, this site that is known as Tambo Colorado, which is located in also the department of Pisco. So Pisco is definitely a zone of production of the brandy. And you know already that the name Pisco comes from Quechua, right? So what is the connection between, you know, Quechua and the this location? If Quechua was the Frank language used by the Incas, oh, well, the Incas annexed this territory of, well, Pisco and the rest of the department of Ica in the well, it was the 15th century, the 1400s, 1450s more or less, when Inca Tupac Yupanqui annexed this territory. Oh, and Tupac Yupanqui is also known as one of the greatest Incas of our history. Uh, Even some theories point out him being the discoverer of Oceania. That he sailed in direction to Rapa Nui, nowadays known as Easter Island, and also several other islands in the Polynesia, in the French Polynesia. And there are evidences in those islands and even in Rapa Nui of a possible Incan presence. Well, this still is debatable, but to be very honest, I do believe from the evidences there and the stories and the orally transmitted legends that indeed an Inca, and not any Inca, Tupa Yupanqui, or Tupa, as is remembered in those lands, went there a long time ago. So, well, Inca Tupa Yupanqui, in his process of expansion, rapid expansion, he built lots of different temples, and also administration like stations of the Inca. So once this territory that belonged originally or was solely administered by the Chincha culture, in two events ago, we talk about archaeology. So, and I mentioned that, well, the last stage of development of this location was the Chincha culture, worshippers of the jaguar. Chincha or Chinchay means jaguar. So they believe they were the children of the jaguar. So, well, this society, well, eventually, after fighting for a long time with the Incas, trying to keep them away, they finally accepted the Incas. They created a pact, a relation, or alliance with them, and they were tremendously respected by the Incas. So, well, Tubayupanqui now was allowed to build temples in the Incan style. Okay, so what is the Incan style? Well, first of all, in comparison to constructions made by the Chincha, and I think I have one image somewhere here. Yes. So, well, this is a possible Chincha construction. This is the most important temple of the Chinchas, Huaca Centinela. You can see that, well, there are pyramids, okay, made of mud. This is the reconstruction. Sadly, it looks more like this nowadays, but this one can be used, I think, better. And many of these temples, they had platforms where the ceremonies took place, and ramps also. They use a lot of ramps. That's a more typical uh, construction like element used in the coast of Peru, because we use mud. It's easier to make like ramps instead of steps if you build with mud. And contrary to that, and let's go also back to this one here. So what you see there, I gave you two pictures, no? It is basically the Incan style with, well, with stairs also, with these niches that look, and windows. Oh, some of them are niches, and some of them are windows that look like trapezoidal style. Also, that trapezoidal style which is not rectangle. It's narrower on the top, wider on the bottom, and even double frame. So that means that that's a very sacred space. If it has just one like edge, that's a normal Incan construction. But if it has double, like one smaller inside than the exterior, that means, well, that's a sacred space. So Tambo, Colorado was built by the Incas as a zone of administration of the valley. So that's probably the reason why many societies in the ancient times didn't want it to be conquered by the Incas, no, because they had to tribute to the Incas now. And sometimes, well, when you have a good cake, you don't want to share that cake with with another one, no. But well, that's why also many societies didn't accept it, the Incas. The Incas also introduced their religion, their solar religion, the religion to the sun, and their gods also. But at the same time, they allowed the local religions. So it's not like the case of the Spaniards who, well, just allowed their religion to be practiced. Okay, so well, this is it for today. Thank you so much for your participation again. We will be also having the chance of meeting again. I'm not sure how you're going to be this weekend. So for sure, we're going to be meeting on Monday. Let me also tell you exactly. But if you find also the weekend can be good, I'm trying also to think on other time zones, like an other, like let's say moments when we can be like meeting. Oh, my pleasure, Annette. Gracias. So please feel free of suggesting other times, like in the day, maybe later in the night, so in the afternoon. So I'm planning yet, like thinking maybe this weekend to also continue, but testing a different time zone. We have still like more sites to see. And well, later on, when we finish with Ica, we will travel to another destination of Peru. Also, I have a special series about post-mortem pictures. So it's coming quite soon. I don't know if you would like to learn about that. It's a little bit more airy. And well, I think I like that also too. So if you would like to learn about post-mortem art and post-mortem pictures also, like well, that would be fun also to learn about together. So here you have my email, social media, and I'll stop sharing here. And well, gracias. Thanks for your company. Thanks for being with me. If you wish to support also your tour guide and this platform also, where I do lots of these live streams almost every day, well, there are some options. You can become a Patreon. If you go up to the first message, it's actually there on the chat. You can subscribe to my Patreon site, and also you can have access to all of my our gallery of videos, recordings from previous lives. There you have, for example, Cusco, Lima. Now we are creating the Ica part, and soon Arequipa, Puno, the north coast of Peru, and Iquitos and the jungle. So we're going by parts, enjoying also the process. You have also a pin up on the top my PayPal. If you wish to offer a donation, that would be super wonderful. I highly appreciate also any donation, any amount is highly appreciated. And also you can help me with commenting, giving a like also on my published videos. That really helps a lot. Engaging is also helpful for any platform online. So, well, muchas gracias. Also, I promise to give you at the end some Facebook groups that you should be joining if you want to also learn more about the world. So, live stream events, virtual travels is also one of the best. My friend Annette, also, who is here, administrates that site, and there are so many good tour guides there also. Going places virtually. I have many good friends also there, and together virtually, of course. Okay, so there are three. And also, if you see this recording later, you're going to see also the same links attached there. So you can copy them also if you wish, or look by name also online on Facebook. Those are groups on Facebook. Well, muchas gracias, and see you very soon. For to be more precise about when are my next events, I'll post them here on YouTube as well as on Facebook, on my Facebook. On the there is a section where I can post things and messages. So I will be giving you the updates there also, and waiting also for your comments on times that are better for these events. Take care. Gracias a todos. Big hugs to you all, and well, sending you lots of love from Lima, Peru. Okay. Chao, amigos. Chao, Annette. Gracias por estar aquí. Thanks for being here. Chao, chao. Hasta pronto.